Folks, this is video number 4 for the playlist that is uh, devoted to the generative shape design in the 3D experience CATIA. I will be talking about point, creating point on a plane, and we have already done that as point with coordinates, point on a curve, and now we're going to do point on line on plane. So when you click when you go to generative shape design, the menu at the bottom of the screen looks like that. And there are many tabs, and one of them is wireframe. And when you click on the wireframe, the point in wireframe, this this these options pop up, and the one that obviously we want is point. So this dialog box opens up. So there's stuff here that we have to discuss and we will, but gradually. Now there is a pull down menu here for how to create a point. We have already done coordinates, we have already done on curve, and now we're going to be doing on plane. Okay. Okay. So let's start with the part file by going to generative shape design. And although I can make my job easier by looking at planes which are horizontal, for example, but to make it kind of general, I'm going to draw a slanted plane. And one way of doing that is, for example, on that vertical plane, I draw a line like that, draw a line like this, exit, and then I'm going to make a plane. Here's a plane, and it's going to be normal to a curve, and I select this curve, and I select that point. So now we have a slanted general arbitrary slanted plane. Okay, one thing I'm going to do first is to create a point on this plane. You might say, well, wait a minute, that's what you're supposed to learn. I understand that, but let me go ahead and create an arbitrary point on this plane. So I'm going to click on the point on a plane, select that plane, and you might say, wait a minute, why is that actually measured from some point down there? See that? That's okay. We'll come to that in a few minutes. Now, notice that this point that I created is actually on that plane. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, okay, so let's go ahead and do another point on this plane, but there is a secondary menu selection here. I'm going to say for the reference point, I'm going to select the one that I just created a minute ago, right there. Notice that this point that I'm creating is now on that plane, and its coordinates are measured with respect to that location. Okay. Now, what I could have done, instead of point 1 as the reference, I could have selected this endpoint. Notice that now when I move things, it is done with respect to that reference point. Okay, so the choice of reference point is up to you. And notice that here, let's create a point. For the reference point, plane is going to be right there. But for the reference point, I'm going to select, for example, this one. Notice that the measurements are done with respect to that reference point. All right, good. So now I'm going to bring in an item which explains uh, this other option in the advanced options that you'll see. So on that vertical plane, I will sketch. Okay, why don't I draw I don't know, maybe a spline? Exit. Okay, and then I'm going to pad it. I'm going to not pad it, but extrude it to a surface. So here's the surface tab. There's the extrude. Of course, we'll be talking about the surfaces and things like that later on, but let me do it one way. Yeah, let me make it maybe 250. there. So we have a surface down here, and what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to say, okay, let's go back to wireframe, make a point, and on a plane, the plane is that slanted one. For the reference point, I can select anything I want. For example, I can select this point. You can see that, yeah. So this is all on that plane with respect to that reference point, which is that where the line intersects the plane. But if I click on this project on surface and select that surface, notice that this point that is being created in that plane is now projected. See that? It's projected into that surface. So if I, for example, stop there and say, okay, that point is on that surface. So it's actually the point that I created in that plane, but got projected into that surface. Let's do another one. Let's do another one. I made this plane surface big enough so that it actually, the projection actually goes through that. So let's do another one. The plane is here. The reference point, I'm going to use this. Okay. And the projection, see right now it's not projected, it's up there, it's somewhere. Projection, select that surface. Now it's being projected into the surface. So for example, if I stop here and I say, okay, right there's a point there, which is on that surface, and it's a projection of what I created in that plane. Yeah, so that explains this two secondary choices. All right.